Hey guys, welcome to probably my first Call of Duty video in about 8 years. It has been a long time. We're talking like 2015. This has been a long time coming. But my passion for Call of Duty has not changed. It's probably grown stronger with age as my hair has disappeared. But I thought today, one, there's no better place than to come back into a tier list. I think. Um, Kind of put my opinions, my feelings on Call of Duty out there for you guys to dissect, for you guys to flame me for, because I'm sure a couple of things might be a little bit controversial, but here we go. Here we go. I might go in a bit of a timeline order. I'll filter out some of the other ones because yeah, some games are going to get us slamming today. So I thought we could start first with kind of your old first few year Call of Duties. I haven't really put any time into them. Admittedly, I was just a bit too young at the time to get into them. Even so, like Call of Duty 3, and obviously you've got like the PS Vita and like the Wii U versions of games. Who gives a crap about them? Got the original Call of Duty Online. Man, I wish I could have played that. I mean, how many times have we talked about having best of Call of Duties around? Like that would just be amazing. Like having MW 2 combined with Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3 and all of that. Like, why is that not a thing? Why is it only a thing in China of all places who like hardly play? Um, but I thought from here, I'll get rid of Call of Duty 2 and you as well. So now we're kind of into the mainline games that everyone's kind of known. So like COD 4 onwards. Um, so we'll start with COD 4, which was kind of like the birthplace for what Call of Duty did become in terms of core gameplay elements and bringing in proper custom classes and perk systems and weapon customization with all your camos. And I think that's really where it has come in nicely into its own. Personally, I never played it that much, and for me, it has to go in the A tier. I can't unfortunately put it much higher. I know what it has done for Call of Duty, but I don't trip massively on nostalgia too much, except for one game, which I'll let you know. Um, but no, I can't deny what it has done and kind of what has blossomed out of that. And I know Modern Warfare Remastered isn't on this list, but that game was also quite good, whilst having some weird like netcode issues. But overall, I feel that COD 4 was fantastic, but for me, not quite in the S tier in terms of like peak Call of Duty. Um, and for World at War, I haven't spent too much time with it, but for me, having watched a lot of it and played little bits, it did feel like a step backwards from COD 4. I know there were a few things in it, and people love the style of the game, and that's cool. But for me, objectively speaking, it did feel a step behind COD 4, and that's kind of just how I feel. And I know a few other people feel the same way. It's a good game. There's nothing wrong with it, but it just felt like it was a year behind Modern Warfare. I mean, Infinity Ward just took a massive jump with that game, and that's kind of fine. Like, it can kind of happen. That would already been halfway through development when um, COD 4 came out, and you can tell there's a couple of things that they adjusted to tie in with this. Um, but yeah, they didn't quite catch on quick enough. So from there, we kind of went into MW 2, which I'm going to put in the A category as well. I know a lot of people, again, have this one in S. However, for me, it is so unbelievably close, but the game was just so broken. And that, I mean, that's not Infinity Ward's fault. We all know what happened with Infinity Ward and them becoming Respawn Entertainment and kind of leaving this game in the lurch. So, I mean, you had your Danger Close, One Man Army, Noob Tubes, um, just so many things in this game were just blatantly broken, which I know made it quite fun, but did I feel overall hinder the actual product quality because I mean they literally did nothing to the game post release other than a few maps and then I think one major update, which has kind of held it back because I like that's it, like the maps are just classic, like everything. High rise, they're all just so good. And seeing Turmoil for the first time, and also that campaign was fantastic. Not going to say much about that airport scene, but that is fine. That is fine. It's the reason why it got the R18 rating here in New Zealand. But are we that mad about it now, seeing as what Russians like to do at the moment? But anyway, and then following on from there, Black Ops 1 as well. Again, amazing Call of Duty. Campaign, fantastic. And it really felt like that flowed on nicely from Modern Warfare 2. I didn't like a lot of the maps in Black Ops 1. They kind of catered to a really slow, grindy playstyle, which kind of was my playstyle, but I just felt that the game sometimes played a little bit slow. Some of the gold camo progressions were just a bit stupid about having to get to Prestige 15 to unlock them. It was just a bit silly. But overall, things are amazing. I mean, like Nuketown came in for the first time. Like this, just classic Call of Duty. And like that's like Call of Duty's only really gone up from there so much, and sadly has fallen away a fair bit too. But on from there, we had MW3 come in. I also have to put that in the A. So MW3 was kind of the game that I really first got into. So that would have been 2011, 2012, or going into 2012. Sorry, Black Ops 2 came out in 2012. But for me, this game was just so much fun. And again, I can say the same for Black Ops 1 and MW2, going back and playing them. But MW3 felt a lot more complete at launch, and it just had that kind of consistent support post-launch too, which MW2 didn't have. So overall, I would say MW2 is a slightly better game than MW3, but MW3's post-launch support and how the game functioned over the year of its release was better. And I mean, there's just still some amazing maps in that game. You can think about all the guns back in those days. You just miss them so much. Like you have the MSR in MW3, you got the Intervention in MW2. Like they're all just classics, and you just want them back so bad. But going on from MW3, our dear old friend Black Ops 2 came into the market, and obviously that's going to go in S tier. That game was just so much fun, and it stayed fun for so long because we had a couple of rough years after that. But I did feel that Black Ops 2, I mean, from the moment that came out, people were just like, this is the real deal. This is a game. And so, I mean, like that's it for people to keep playing it even to this day. And like even I still jump on it on PC now, and it's just so much fun. And like you can't buy the game for less than $100 New Zealand dollars, and that's just crazy. But player retention was just unlike anything I've ever seen. It seemed that every playstyle was catered to almost perfectly, except for the Target Finder, Riot Shield, LSAT, suppressed bastards that camp in corners. Screw you guys. 2012 to 2023, and I'm still traumatized by you. Goodness me. But everything in that game just felt so balanced. Competitive play was fantastic. League play was fantastic. Campaign was pretty fun. It felt good shooting Raul Menendez, but I think overall Black Ops 2 was just so well done. From zombies to campaign to multiplayer, all absolutely fantastic. I can't fault it. And going on from there, everyone's favourite, Ghosts. I actually really love this game, but objectively, I know I can't put it right up there. I know I can't. I'm going to have to put it in C. Personally, I would have it in my A tier just because I had so much fun playing it alongside mates and with clans back in the day when they were everything. But I know that A, the maps were huge. And B, the game just played so incredibly slow. And it was just one of the campiest slow games I've ever seen in my life. And admittedly, the DLC maps did make the game quite fantastic, but it just came too late. I feel that the game just kind of fell flat and then was good from then onwards, but just didn't have the player base. And that spoke volumes at the time, because that's when the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One came out, and the player numbers were just dead. There was no one playing this game. Everyone was still on Black Ops 2, as was I was kind of splitting time between both. Um, but that kind of just is what it is. It was just a weird change of pace from Black Ops 2. They tried to reinvent a few things. They had I can't even remember what it was called. They got rid of the UAV for that stupid thing that you threw on the ground. Satcom. There we go. And that thing was just utterly useless. And it kind of catered to that kind of camping play style because really, unless you had multiple Satcoms on the ground, your team wouldn't know where anyone was. So people could just camp and they're just going to get held there perfectly, which is a bit lame. From there, Advanced Warfare, I'll have to put that in the B tier. I found this game really, really fun as well. I did like it a bit more than Ghosts. Um, it just felt really, really different. I know that doesn't click well for a lot of people, but I felt like it was a nice kind of change of pace. Like we were kind of had our modern era stint, we'd had our World War II stint, and it was kind of interesting to get a bit of a dive into the future, a bit further beyond what Black Ops 2 did, going into 2025, which is 2 years away now. But Advanced Warfare, loved it. I think the things that kind of held it back were potentially the weapon variants. They were fun to collect, but they were also hard to collect. Like I know there's a few variants that I still don't have, which is the AK-12 RIP and the HBRA-3 Insanity, which I've put like 30 something days into this game and haven't got them. And I know people that have put 20 minutes in and have got them. So that kind of thing was just a bit cheese, a bit fugazi, if you will, which has kind of held it back. DLC maps are fantastic. The gameplay was quite fun. Watching the league and competitive play was quite fun as well. Campaign was okay. Zombies I felt was quite weak. Kind of had little moments with the zombies, but overall it was quite weak. So unfortunately I have to put it in a B, even though I'm quite fond of it in terms of just like the fun aspect. But I know objectively it's not the most amazing game there is. Um, and then from there came Black Ops 3, which is subjectively my favourite Call of Duty of all time. And I'm going to have to put it in the S tier. I know there were issues with the black market and actual weapons being gated behind those drops. But outside of that, I felt that almost everything in this game was perfect. Zombies was incredible. The multiplayer was fantastic. It was so fun. It was so well balanced outside of the VMP. Campaign was a bit random, but overall, in terms of enjoyment, I found just Black Ops 3 just to be amazing. It was so good to watch competitively. Viewership that year was just another level from what we'd seen previously. And I know player counts were massively high. I know they started hiding them during Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3, but I know that player counts were very, very high at the start of the year, like kind of 50 times higher than Ghosts, which is crazy. Um, so that was just an amazing game, and I've probably sunk more time into that Call of Duty than any other since, which is a bit damning. Next up, old friend iDub is going straight in D. That game is arse. Um, it just felt, again, similar to kind of like what World at War was to COD 4. It just felt like it was backwards a year. It wasn't a progression. Like a lot of the kind of specialist and character models were causing massive issues. The game was just grey, like it just looked average and it just felt slower and less fluid than Black Ops 3, and it felt like a step back towards Advanced Warfare, because Black Ops 3 was definitely the peak of that advanced movement in terms of your accuracy of movement, the control. It just felt natural, whereas Infinite Warfare was a bit floaty. Some of the maps were just god awful, and that's it. The campaign was good, but it just felt a little bit far fetched and kind of just a bit too far gone for Call of Duty. Black Ops 3 at least felt a little bit more grounded, whereas Infinite Warfare just went, hey look, this is just Star Wars, man. Which I think some people really didn't like and other people just weren't that interested in, which is a bit of a shame. And I mean, it was kind of a meme to dislike the reveal trailer. It was like the most disliked video in the world for a couple of days, and then Baby by Justin Bieber took it back over. Understandably, because that song is hideous. And then next from there was World War II. I am not a big fan of this game. Um, I don't quite know where to put it. I'm kind of sitting here in between C and D. Like, I know it's better than Infinite Warfare, but that's not hard to do. I don't know if it's as good as Ghost because it was rough as hell at launch. I'm going to leave it in C for now because I've got some hideous things to say about some other games. But um, World War Two was interesting. It felt really weird to go back to that era. I know people were a bit sick of the futuristic stuff, but I felt like people were leaning more towards returning to modern era than going back to World War Two and pulling out freaking STG-44s again and Sturmgewehrs. But overall, the game just felt a bit clunky. And even going back and watching competitive gameplay now, still quite slow, quite clunky, and it can be quite rough to watch. But at the time, it was actually relatively fun. Perk system was shocking until that got revised again a couple of months into the game. Sometimes it can just be a bit too late. And to be fair, I've always loved Sledgehammer. They've always been super, super open and honest about what they're working on, despite some of Activision's best attempts to shoehorn people into things that they maybe don't want to do, which is definitely the case with Track and the black market and Black Ops 3, um, which just goes to damage the studio's reputation because, I mean, Activision can't make themselves look any worse than they do, so that's where we end up there. And then going on from there, we had Black Ops 4, which, to be fair, I wasn't the biggest fan of. And I mean, I wanted to love this game more than anything because Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, I've put more time into that than anything else I've ever played in my life, or maybe other than Destiny. But with Black Ops 4, I just felt that, again, I didn't like the manual healing. I didn't like the 150 health. I didn't like a lot of the specialists. They were wildly irritating. Whereas in Black Ops 3, they just felt like a bit more of an extension of play. Whereas in Black Ops 4, a lot of them just got really frustrating, like Ajax's 9 bang or the shield that you can shoot through with a pistol with like 100 bullets. Freaking ridiculous. And Prophet as well. Like some of those things just, they made your time just feel wasted sometimes. Like you just feel cheated out of some gunfights, which is just not fun. But I think my biggest gripe was the manual healing and 150 health. It just felt like it took way too long to kill people. And sometimes you come around a corner behind 3 players, and it's just too hard to move and hit all 3 with enough bullets to kill them all before one of them whips around and kills you. And then they scream, "Oh, you got turned on!" It's like I literally couldn't kill you guys quick enough, which is kind of my gripe with that game. But I do think it is a good game. A lot of the maps are good, but a couple of things really, really held it back for me. And then we've got COD Mobile. I'll play it. I'll put it in the not played. I have played it, but I don't really care for it at all. Mobile games suck. Um, Next is Modern Warfare. I know this is quite popular with a lot of the casuals. I am not a casual, so this game is going in the D. This game was terrible. I found this horrific. Gameplay wise, it was quite cool. The new engine visually looks great. Campaign was good, but I just felt this just to be a bit too rough. Um, Maps, shocking, absolutely shocking. They were horrific. The kind of playstyle the game encouraged was just unbelievably boring to watch. It was crazy. And everyone's seen that video, that meme of the guy trying to cross the street, checking 20 windows, going outside, dying instantly from 6 guys camping in dark rooms. That's just what this game was. It was just so boring. And I know it caters to a lot of more casual players, but it was boring to watch, boring to play, and thank God Warzone came out during that game because otherwise that thing was in the mud. That was boring as hell. Um, Next up is Cold War. I've got to probably put it in the same bracket as Black Ops 4. I thought it was good. I wasn't blown away. Again, something just felt slightly off. Like it felt a tiny bit clunky, which is a bit interesting. Um, but again, the map design not amazing. I don't think there's much of a. There was a campaign, but it's forgettable. Despite it being quite good, apparently, I just can't remember it. The game just didn't quite feel 100%. It was definitely good. It was better than Modern Warfare, and better than we'd had for a couple of years. But still, I just didn't feel like it was quite on the level of your kind of your MW3s and your Black Ops 1s, but definitely above your Ghosts and World War 2s. But again, not hard. And then we've got Vanguard. They've put two of them in here so I can double bin it. That game was horrific, terrible. Maps awful. The whole game was freaking brown. It was just shockingly bad. I can tell it was made in a shorter period of time, under a certain amount of strain, but it was just boring to watch, boring to play. Rank play didn't come out for ages. It was just flat. I did love the kind of cinematic approach to the campaign, but it kind of felt like it just wasn't long enough. They just took gameplay away and put cinematics in, which was great, but actually just gave you less playtime, which I wasn't too big of a fan of. But I did kind of like the movie approach, personally, having an interest in media creation. But from there, I can't say too much more about the game. I just found it so unbelievably boring. Um, and for this year, I have to put MW2 in C. I can't put it any higher. I would love to. I think the gunplay and like the actual gunfights in the game feel fantastic. Campaign was great. My main gripe with this game is the post-launch support has been just terrible. It took a month and a bit into the game for us to even be able to prestige, and they gave us to level 250. Hit that in a week and a half. Whoops. I had COVID during that time. I had nothing else to do. Whoop-de-doo. Um, and then from there, I didn't touch the game for 8 weeks. What am I supposed to do? There's no leveling to do. Finish the battle pass. There was just no new content into this game, and like I can see the potential of this game. I've thought it was fantastic, and I was quite excited for it to be a 2-year game because everything you earn kind of carries through. But for me, it just didn't quite have that support that it needs, and it's getting drip fed stuff now, but it just feels a little bit too little too late. And it's good to watch competitively. It is fun to play in ranked play, even though that's come 4 months after the game came out, which is 4 months too late, or at least should have come out around Major One time. That just makes sense to me. But um, yeah, this is kind of my list here. I know some of you might keep MW2 and COD 4 up there, and then maybe a lot of people do this and have that kind of 4 at the top there. But for me, there's a couple of things that hold those games back. I'd definitely put MW2 at the top of A if I could, but that's kind of how my list lies there. So let me know down below what you think. I know some of my takes can be a bit spicy. I know I've had some arguments with people in comment sections in the past, so by all means abuse me down below if you disagree. But this is kind of how I feel mostly objectively. I know Black Ops 3 was very subjective, but that's because I literally spent like 40 days of my life playing that damn game. So I feel very, very strongly about that one. But let me know what you guys think, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers, guys.